Hi guys, Becky here. Today in this video I'm going to be talking about how to use a Ferrocerium rod and a couple of Tinders that you can use to light with them. This is going to be part of my Bushcraft Essentials series, so I'm hoping to do some more videos on some of the essentials you should learn when you're starting out or even doing bushcraft at the minute, and things that you should cover. So this is one of them. A ferro rod is a really great tool to carry in your fire kit and even on you at all times. It's such a good piece of kit, and there's so many reasons why you should carry one. So I'm going to cover them today, and also different ones you can buy and different techniques you can use with a ferro rod. So with me today I've got a few ferro rods that I own and a couple of Tinders that you can use when lighting a fire. There's obviously a lot more, but these are just the main ones, I guess, and most easiest to get a fire going. So with me I mainly carry this Bayite long ferro rod, and yeah, I like this because it lasts a long time. Obviously it's a lot wider and longer than usual ferro rods that you can get. I like that you can get a lot for your money, and if you're going on a long-term trip, you know that it's not going to take a lot of material off and it can last a long duration. So I usually have a kind of handle on the top made out of wood, but it's not on there at the minute, but that helps when gripping it and you can get a full stroke of the ferro rod. This ferro rod has a harder composite, which means you have to apply more force when lighting a fire. As it's a bigger surface area, you can get a lot of sparks, meaning a lot of heat off of this. So these other two ferro rods that I have, one of them is Light My Fire. This has a really low composite, which means it doesn't take a lot of force to get quite a few sparks, but it does mean that it wears out a lot quickly than the other one I just showed you. So this is great just to carry in your fire kit or on your belt kit, because you can get a fire going very easily using this. So for my Tinders I've got birch bark, silver birch. That's what you get in a lot of English woodlands. And I've got some fatwood, so I've harvested this lot, and this is waxwood that you can get online, which is great to carry in your fire kit, and you get a lot of it, so it's great. But if you have a lot of fatwood in your area, there's no point buying one of these. I will probably do a video covering how to get fatwood and where's the perfect place to get it. So here I have the same sort of size ferro rods. As you can see, this one is with my knife, so it's on my sheath and it goes along with the knife that I own. So I like carrying a knife that has a ferro rod on it with a striker. I think that's a great idea. And then you know you've always got it on you, so you've got a cutting tool and something for combustion. However, with these, they're the same length, but they're different composites. So this one is really low and this one's got a hard composite, and I'll demonstrate what I mean now. So I've actually got a right hand striker, so I'm struggling with this a little bit as I'm left-handed. So this takes a lot of force on the striker to get some sparks. And it's taking me a lot of force to get all of them sparks off of that. Good tip with hard composite ferro rods is to, before you light your fire, is to get some scrapings of Ferrocerium, so it makes it more flammable. So that's the hard composite ferro rod there. So I know that will last me a long time. It won't wear out quickly. However, you can see the difference as this has a lot of material carved off of it already. So this is the soft composite, and already I'm not applying half the amount of force for this, and it's getting the same if not more amount of sparks. So when you're lighting a ferro rod, you want to position your striker or the 90-degree spine of your knife at a 45-degree angle and just push down. You'll probably have to do this several times when you're lighting tinder so you can get enough heat to ignite it. There's also another technique, which is pulling the ferro rod towards you. So if, say, I had my birch bark and I didn't want to knock it or disturb the tinder I'm lighting, because it will starve it of oxygen and put it out, it's a good idea to pull upwards, just like that. So I've already mentioned this longer ferro rod has a hard composite also, but you get, as it's got such a big surface area, you can get a lot of sparks off of it. So this is ideal for a long-term camp out, or when you're just going out for a long time and you need a ferro rod. I know a lot of people on a loan have taken these as well when they're surviving for a long time, as you know that you can trust this and it's going to last a long duration. Whereas the softer composite will probably be easier for lighting a fire, it's better for beginners, but it's not going to last you the same duration as the tougher composite ones like this that I have on my knife. With this type of birch, you want to get some shavings and some dust to make it flammable. That's what I'm going to just do with my knife. By making small particles of the birch, it makes it really easy to light. Obviously you get different varieties and different sort of types of birch, and you have to do different techniques and do different things to make it flammable and make it work. So I guess you just got to trial things out and see what works for you and what works for different materials. Because there's some bits of bark that you get and you cannot do shaving, so you have to kind of mix it up and maybe apply more heat with your ferro rod. So with this I don't need to pull up on my ferro rod as much, because it's not going to disturb the bark, and it's given me a platform to rest this on. So if you are making a fire, you could get a piece of kindling that's flat and lean on that, or if not, you don't have a base, then you're going to have to pull up and do it that way. So I want to do 45 degrees with my spine. I'm going to use the back of my knife. Some 90-degree spines don't work as well, some you wear them out. This one is starting to go, so I need to kind of top it up a bit. I'm going to hold my ferro rod at a slight angle. I'm going to grip it at the top. Obviously it'd be more ideal if I had my block of wood that I usually have on here. That's a really good idea, to either piece of antler or wood, carve a nice shape out of wood, or maybe some black tape I've seen done, just to create a handle so it's easier to grip. And I'm just going to do my 45 degree with the knife and strike down. So probably take about 3 strides. But before I do that, I'm just going to take some Ferrocerium off. And then I'm going to strike down. So you can see how flammable the birch is. Obviously if I was going to make a fire, I'd add some more shavings or add another piece of birch on top of that. But this is just for demonstration. So I'm now going to demonstrate with the Light My Fire Ferro Rod. And obviously there's not much movement when you just use the bottom half, so you don't disrupt the fine shavings that I've made beforehand. So I'd say the big tip for me personally is getting comfortable and getting in the right angle when using your Ferro Rod. I think everyone has a different sort of technique in their own way, but applying the same sort of thing. The main aim when lighting your fire with a ferro rod is to not disturb the tinder that you've collected. It might have taken you a long time to collect this tinder that you're using. You don't want to flatten or disturb the tinder you've got and starve it of oxygen. So yeah, the three main ways are using the bottom half when you're on, say, the little Light My Fire Ferrocerium rod, or pulling upwards. Obviously it'd be a lot easier if I had a handle on this for pulling upwards, or just striking down, and you should be able to light your tinder in 3 strikes. If not, there's probably something that you need to change. Maybe the tinder's damp, or it's not flammable enough. You might have not done enough shavings, so you kind of need to change it, or you're not getting enough sparks, there's not enough heat getting to that tinder. Obviously on the smaller ferro rods you can do loads of little strides to collect up loads of heat, but like I said, it does help a lot when you take off a few strides of that metal before you start to light the fire, because it just makes it more combustible. So I'd say the big advantages of using a ferro rod and why you should get one and practice using it, say instead of a lighter or flint and steel, is because it's really effective. It's really easy once you get the hang of it. It can pretty much light a lot of things as it gives off a lot of heat, where say flint and steel, you can only have a select few tinders that are flammable enough for them sparks that don't carry much heat to light. So with flint and steel, it takes a lot of time to build up enough heat to ignite something. So the sparks off of flint and steel don't carry near as enough amount of heat as a ferro rod does. So the reasons you should get a ferro rod and use one and take it with you is that it can be used in the wet. So if you say are on a canoe trip, you fall in, or your bag tips over, you just capsize and this falls in, whether it's on you or in your bag, you can still use it when it's wet. You can use it in the rain, whereas a lighter would probably break or wouldn't be as efficient if you used it in the rain. It would keep the flame out and it would just struggle to light. And if you fell in the water with a lighter, it would just break it. So it's definitely much more reliable than a lighter. A lighter can run out of fuel, the flint could go on a lighter, and it could just break due to being really damp or cold or the wet weather, where this doesn't have any problems. It just wears out, but you can see it gradually wearing out and you know to buy a new one. But it will last a really long time, especially if you get a hard composite one. It's very easy to use, it's effective. I know that you can use flint and steel if it's been submerged in water, but it's not going to be very easy to use, especially if you're tired or you're in a rush to light a fire. This is going to be the perfect option. Flint and steel also would be very hard to light in wet weather or damp weather because you need really dry tinder to get that going. So it's just going to become more of a challenge. It lasts a long time, especially if you get hard composite. So people who go on survival challenges and long-term campouts tend to take these because they're trustworthy and they last a long time. You'll probably get through a few lighters where you just have to take one ferro rod. The only thing is not to lose it. So I know some people colour the handles in or make the cordage like a bright orange so you don't lose it, or the strikers, you get some bright orange ones as well, so it just stands out in case you do lose it. And say you do still have your Ferrocerium rod but you lose the striker, you can have alternative options. So if you go out and you look for them, you can use glass and flint to go and work as a striker. So that's an alternative as well. So I'm going to now demonstrate with a bit of fatwood. What you want to do when you get a piece of fatwood is create some shavings, small and bigger pieces. So you want the smaller bits for when you're first trying to get the fire going. So the technique with this is quite similar to feather sticks. That's what you can also use as a tinder when using your ferro rod. So with this, you don't want to disrupt the shavings and make them spread out and put it out. So if I have my ferro rod and I put the striker and flatten the shavings each time, it's just going to put it out. So you want to be delicate and gentle, and that's why a lot of people just use the bottom half, because you've got more control over it. There you go. It lights really well and burns for a long time. So them thicker pieces are what's keeping it going, and then you would apply your kindling or sticks that you've collected. This time of year it's ideal to collect sticks that are off the trees, as everything's really damp and sodden on the floor. Or you'd get a log and split it down to get some nice dry pieces of kindling. You don't know what fatwood is, it's basically really resinous wood. So this has a lot of resin and pine sap in there. And it's got a real distinct smell and colour. So when you do find it, you'll know what it is. There's also clumps of resin that you find when a pine tree's trying to heal itself. It sort of clumps up, and that's perfect for lighting fires and also making pine pitch. So here's my fine group of shavings. I'm going to use the longer ferro rod this time. I'm going to pull upwards so I don't disrupt the shavings. It might be a bit difficult as I haven't got a handle on here at the moment. So we got there in the end. Takes a lot more force. So the smaller pieces are the bits that the sparks are going to ignite, and then the thicker pieces of fatwood are going to keep it going and burning for longer, for when you then decide to put on your kindling or small sticks. So yeah, you want a variety of different size shavings, and you want them to be quite curly as well and thin, so they can easily catch light, because that's the whole idea. It's a lot different when it's a lighter to a ferro rod, because it's obviously fine sparks, so it's got to be very flammable. So using the back of your knife, if you've got a sharp 90-degree spine, really helps getting them finer shavings. An absolutely perfect tinder to use when you're starting out, or if you want a really easy fire, is this stuff. So this is cotton wool, and it's really great for starting a fire. It's so easy, especially when you mix it with Vaseline. So we used to use this at forest school. Fluff it up a bit so it's flammable. Do some strikes of Ferrocerium, and then just after one strike it goes up, and you can see how good it is. So yeah, if you're just starting out and you want to get used to it, I definitely use that and then develop with your skill set and use and experiment with other things. Obviously, I've just used birch bark and fatwood today, but you can use fern, which I have in this woodland. You can use resin, you can use feather sticks, you can use fungus, shavings off a cedar tree, the bark, that's really good also. Yeah, there's loads of different things that you can use. I guess you just got to experiment and try it out for yourself. But for beginners and starting off, and for kids, I think this is a great option, just to gain your confidence and get used to the technique of the ferro rod rather than what you're lighting. So if you did end up losing your striker to your ferro rod and you don't have a spare and you don't have a good 90-degree spine on the back of your knife, then a good option is to find a piece of flint or glass. And yeah, it's a great alternative. You want to find a bit of flint with quite a sharp edge, just like you would when you're doing flint and steel. And it's the same sort of technique, just working your way down. It's quite good as well. So I just found this piece and it works just the same. So I'll demonstrate this on a piece of birch bark now. So you do the same with your striker or your 90-degree spine with the flint, trying to get some shavings and some fine particles. The same applies with the flint on the smaller, softer composite ferro rod. So if you're unsure what ferro rod to get and you're not sure what to buy, there's loads on the market, and I guess it's just down to your personal preference. But me personally, and I know a lot of people, they like these ferro rods that have a longer surface area and that last a lot longer. They just take a little bit more force in getting used to, I guess, but they're definitely worth it. And once you've put your own handle on it, they're great to work with. But for me, I do like having a variety. I think that's really good for different sort of things. So I like having a softer composite that's smaller and also a hard one. You should have more than one ferro rod in your fire kit or on your person. So I actually have 2 in my fire kit and then 1 on my belt. So this one is the Bayite ferro rod. You can get different sizes if you want. You could also get bigger ones than this, I've seen them. I'm not sure if it's Bayite, but you can definitely get bigger ones than these. This is like my fire, and this one with the wooden handle goes with my sheath here. So this is the TBS knife that I use. It's like my everyday carry bushcraft knife. I love it. It's really great. It's got an awesome 90-degree spine, and it's just great to work with. It's full tang. It's just really good quality, and it's got a lovely handle on there as well. There's a little compartment there for the ferro rod to fit into, and it's also got a sharpening stone on it as well, in case I need to sharpen my knife out in the field. So yeah, I like carrying that because it's got a lot of different things. So I've got my knife, obviously, which is great to carry on you at all times, lighting tool, sharpening block, and I am thinking of putting a bit of cordage on there, maybe wrapping it round this piece, just to have some more everyday carry items that are really handy. So I'll leave a link to everything in the description for all these in case you are interested. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and for beginners who are starting out, I hope you learnt something from it. I am planning on doing more videos for this series of Bushcraft Essentials. If you've got any recommendations, then please leave it in the comments. But thank you for watching this, I really appreciate it, and it's awesome that I am on 50,000 subscribers now. I cannot believe it. So thank you for everyone for supporting me. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. It doesn't cost anything, it's just to support me, and you can get updates on when I post a next video. So thanks again, and take care everyone.